Hello and welcome back to the Fit in Your 30s podcast. I'm once again joined by Adam Kent. How are you doing, Adam? You alright?
Yeah, all good, mate. Thanks for having me back.
There he is. This is season 2, episode 6, the final episode in this season.
Yeah.
We did miss last week due to the world opening back up, gyms opening back up.
I think it's
my
your birthday as
birthday.
well, wasn't it?
Yeah, and there was just a lot happening last week.
Yeah.
So unfortunately we did miss a week, but we're back now and we've got a few things to talk about. So this week's episode is about reflecting on 2021 so far.
Cool.
We are now on the 22nd of April, which is just crazy to think we're already close to 4 months into the year. And we need to talk about the gyms opening and what that means.
Cool.
So yes, let's start with the gyms opening because that's quite a big deal and that's changed a lot of things. And well, the gyms open the same time as the pubs, so I think people rush back to the pubs first. Or there was a small community that rushed back to the gyms. Most people rush back to pubs and restaurants. But I think this week things are starting to balance out a bit more, and people are starting to get back in the gyms more.
Yep.
So we'll start off talking about you and your clients, and we'll talk about mine and what my people have been doing.
Cool.
So how's the return to the gym been? How's things at Virgin?
It was interesting because for me, I think my biggest thing was just trying to get back in some sort of routine and structure, touching base with my business, just catching up with people. It was awesome. Then obviously the big thing is myself getting back in the gym because I obviously living in my tiny little flat up in Finsbury Park, I don't have a big whole back garden which I can make my off-brand gym in. And then with that it was interesting because again, every time you come back from a period of training, it always feels just a little bit different. You know what I mean? It's like this time similarly to last time, I didn't have light endurance. That's always the one thing I notice goes straight out the window, especially when it comes to weight training. But I felt definitely I lost like a bit of oomph, and it's the only way I could describe it. I just didn't feel like almost like aggressive enough with the weights. I felt very kind of slow and not like in a methodical way. Just didn't have it, if you know what I mean. In what it is, I could describe what it is. But like things like grip was like a big one. I felt like I couldn't hold on to things as well. Like obviously I was a little bit heavier when I got back in the gym as well, so like hanging off things was a little bit more of a strain. But saying that, you know, obviously I was telling you I bought some scales just before lockdown was ending, and I had a huge fucking by my language, I had a bit of a wake up call, and I was like, oh geez, look at that number. And then I've managed to shift in 2 weeks 10 kilograms.
Nice.
So, mate, and do you know what most of it was? It was literally, I was doing about 20,000 steps a day minimum. I was just walking around everywhere. I was doing a little bit of manual labour because I was having to fix everything. Obviously, you'd know that because I was on the blower to you. I was like, how do I fix a rower? Oh, I'm stuck. I'm underneath. I don't know how to change the chain.
That was broken.
Everything's broken. And then obviously then adding on my training as well. So I was training for about an hour and a half most days, which you were commenting on because obviously my watch allocates my pace, but it doesn't have it only has like a run or a walk, and so I was like, okay, I'll just time that. And then obviously it's you're going at 0.000 miles per hour.
So Adam's Strava come up on my Strava on my homepage, and it said he's covered 200 meters in an hour and a half. That was like a big session. I didn't realise he was just wandering around the gym.
So it's been great. I definitely feel like I've perked up loads. I definitely feel like I have shifted some weight as well. Like I feel like a lot lighter and leaner already. So hopefully I can get just below that triple digits, and with that just continue sort of building my strength.
So good couple weeks back in the gym for you. How's your client base doing? How your
Yeah, I've
clients?
had some clients return. Again, a lot of the clients that I've lost were literally in the first lockdown, and those ones were, I think just not coming back because of it. The guys that have returned, similarly, just kind of lost that little bit of endurance, that edge to their fitness. They hadn't. Some of them obviously put on a bit of weight, the same as myself. Maybe not as extreme as me. And then it's just been a bit of a case of getting them back to basics. So when they all got back in the gym, it was a bit of retesting. It's a bit like, cool, let's just figure out where you are. Can you hold onto the bar? Let's do like a bench, squats, a little bit of mobility, and just put some numbers together to start getting them some homework, and just really trying to encourage them to get back in the gym. Just get moving. Don't expect anything, because you're going to have like 2 or 3 weeks of this. And then once we hit those 2 or 3 weeks, that's when we'll really start bringing back the intensity like in our sessions.
Yeah, you need those few weeks to blow out the cobwebs, don't you? And just get the
body.
And then get used to taking DOMs again. Your body's going to have some tension. It's going to have some soreness once you go back to lifting when you haven't been lifting and having a barbell in your hands.
Well, that was the first thing I noticed. On the first Monday, I went in and I think I was messaging you. I was like, oh, hey, I'm setting up the bench. I'm going to go light. And then suddenly all the plates are getting added on. Oh, come on, let's almost like, I'm going to see what my 1 rep max is. Of course you're going to do that the first day.
Going against all your
advice that I've been giving out to everyone. I was like, yeah, let's do it. And then I was like, all right, okay, cool. This didn't go as well as I thought it would. And then the next day, all I could feel was just my arms, my shoulders, my joints. It was a good feeling, but at the same time, it wrecked me. I didn't get over that till about Thursday. So
good. Yeah. Well, like my clients, I've got kind of, because I was very much working the whole lockdown, so I had like this big mix of some clients doing online, and they're still doing online because they haven't returned back to the gym yet. I've got people, of course, in my garden in Dell Box, still training, but they come back at the beginning of the month, when on the 29th of March, when the second lots of restriction changed. So they've been with me for a few weeks now, but I've got a lot of clients that have gone back, and they're back to doing programs in the gym, and like I set them workouts to do that maybe wasn't at the extreme of what they used to do, and I was like, just give this a go for now.
Just tapered it down a bit, isn't it? You know what I mean?
And like, especially with like, I've got a couple of guys that do Olympic lifting, and I was like, well, we're gonna make the complexes very simple, and I'll put it in, and they're like, oh my god, like they're just been in bits. So it's been a good week, I think, for my clients. They've kind of all been kind of getting back in the mix. The people that have been in my garden for 3 weeks now are kind of back up to their working weight of before,
Nice.
Where they're back to kind of that zone, like, because some of them went straight back to benching 60 kilos, and it kind of and they couldn't really, 3 reps was tough, and now they're back up to doing 6 reps of 60 kilos, and they're like, okay, I'm back to kind of where I was, but it took like a few weeks. So it's been like a few weeks of blowing out the cobwebs. So if you're someone that's gone back, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about.
I felt that one of the things that I noticed when I do go back, it's like my strength is still there to some degree. You know what I mean? So I can still lift heavy. I just can't lift as heavy as much. You know what I mean? It's like I think when I was messaging you, so just before lockdown, I was hitting around about. I was sending you videos of I'm hitting around about like 140, going for like 150s and things like that on the bench. And then I was like, right, okay, so this is where I want to be now in the next couple of months. I want to see if maybe I can hit 160 or something. That'd be the most I've ever actually benched before. And then obviously I come back, and then I'm back down to just clawing back to like 120s and 130s. Then going back, and then about this time I'm like hitting 100, and I'm like, it's all going over the place, and that's one of the things that I feel that as well. Like, stability was such a big one as well. I didn't feel stable with any of the movements. I'd be lying on the bench, and I'd be like, why do I just not feel comfortable? You know what I mean? I just don't feel like I'm in control of this as much as I'm used to being.
Like I said, it'll bounce back over the next few weeks, and that's a good thing about because you've been training for a long time, and when people have been training for a long time, like I find when new people come in, they're constantly hitting PB, so everything's like a new target, and they can see they're progressing that way. When people have been training for a while and they've been at their best, sometimes the goal is to kind of, they've dropped a bit, is to get back to that standard.
Yeah.
So like you'll be, right, I need to get back to where I was, and then that's a good achievable goal to be, right, I've lifted, at one point in my life, I've lifted this much, this is my new target, is to get back to that. And that's just a good goal to have. Okay, good. So yeah, the gyms are filling up. When I talk to what's going on in Gymbox and with Virgin, memberships kind of flying up at the moment.
Yeah.
Because people are coming back, and I think a lot of people have missed it. There's no Group X at the moment.
No.
Which I also think is not a bad thing, because it's giving people a chance to venture out on the gym floor. It's giving people that live in spin rooms, people that live in Les Mill, body pump classes, they're like venturing out on the gym floor. They're probably getting PT and getting a bit of help from some other coaches. So I think that's quite a good thing that they're venturing out and trying something new. And then I think Group X is coming back at the end of May.
17th of May. So it'll be mid-May.
That date might slip. But
maybe. Who knows?
Maybe, but hopefully it doesn't. But
somebody was in the gym today, and I was walking around. It's like, like, how are you getting on, all this sort of stuff, and she's like, well, I'm not too sure, because there's already talk about another lockdown. I was like, be quiet. Do not say. Do not talk about that. There will not be another lockdown. We will not.
I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Yeah.
So 17th of May, maybe all the Group X. But yeah, I think it's been quite positive. And even though the pubs have opened at the same time, I think people are doing a blend of both.
Haven't really though. You know what I mean? It's just like a bit of outdoor space. People are going grab food. Yeah, some people are having
as well.
Yeah, some people are having like boozy affairs in the pubs and things like that. I think most people are generally quite good from what I've seen.
Yeah. So people are back in the gyms, which is good. And if you're getting back in the gym soon, break yourself in. You will be
don't do what soreness. I do.
Yeah,
don't max out on
max testing as much as you want to. Okay, so now we're going to quickly reflect on 2021 and kind of what to look at. So it has been a mix. We've been in lockdowns. You was taking up running. I was taking up indoor cycling, and then I had some stuff in the garden. Loads of people have been doing stuff on Zoom in the parks. So you have to reflect on your time, because there's only so many months in a year, and we're nearly through 4 of them.
Yeah.
So at the point I was meant to do this podcast, we was only meant to be through just 3, but we're a bit delayed in the month. But yeah, we needed gone through 4 months, so you can't just kind of write off 4 months. You have to kind of say, right, okay, what am I going to achieve now in the remaining 8 months? Where do you want this training to go? So I think it's always good to reflect, look at kind of what's gone well, what hasn't. Look at your habits, look at your nutrition habits, look at your sleep habits, your steps. These are things that you can just open your phone and go check. So I think it's like you have to have a hard look at yourself sometimes and go, okay, well, I'm just going to restart. And what I wanted to say, and I'm kind of message on spreading at the moment, is we can't actually go on holiday. And for me, that's actually quite a good thing, that we've actually got 3 months ahead of us from now. Where nothing's really going to happen in May, June, and July.
Well, fingers crossed.
Really, nothing's really. No big changes are going to happen that should affect us in our flow. Like if there is going to be holidays abroad and bigger kind of events happening, they're going to be more August time, August, September, October, hopefully.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
So what we kind of got is a nice little, nice little chunk of time ahead of us where. There's a bit of socialise on the weekend, but other than that, it should just be routine. A chance to get into a solid routine. A nice 12-week kind of block to kind of just focus on training. And I always talk about training in 12-week blocks, because that's a mesocycle. And within a mesocycle, you can have what's known as microcycles, and they're just like 4 to 6 week blocks of training. So if you want to set a goal, try to sell it in like a mesocycle, so sell it in a 12-week block, and then look at ways to kind of break that down. So don't aim to get your goal by the end of the week, aim to get your goal by that week 12, and then look at all the phases you have to go to get that. So what normally breaks that up is weddings, so big stag weekends, or weddings, or weekends away, or holidays for 2 weeks and 10-day holidays. That normally breaks that up, but we haven't really got that coming up until back end of July. So I think we've all got a good opportunity now. So I would advise everybody to kind of reflect on what went well over the last 4 months, and then look at what they want to achieve, and then just commit to the next 10, 12 weeks.
That's where we might differ then, because I'll probably look and be a lot more critical on myself about how I've sort of done things over the last 3 or 4 months. I just think, because the first lockdown was like, for me, almost like I flawless victory. I was like running every day, had my schedule, and I was really prepared by the time I got back in. And I was like, you know what, that was awesome. I had a bit of time off, and I was like, got to do this, and you know what I mean. And I was still very kind of like chirpy about it. Second lockdown, it was a bit like, this is a bit of a pain, and then still kept up some of the good habits. This third lockdown, I feel like I really learned a lot about where my limits are, and it was definitely like it's seasonal as well. I mean, like, there was a few bits and pieces, like, not being able to go see your family over Christmas, because obviously we had the London lockdown, and then there would be things like, it's just dark, I mean, it's cold, it's not great, and you naturally put on weight because you just don't go out as much, and it's one of these things where it's like, could I have pushed myself a little bit more to stick to a little bit more of a rigid schedule and a little bit more on my dieting, stuff like that? I think you just get to the end of it and you just I got a bit fed up with it, and I was trying to be very honest with all my clients that came back, and they're like, I put on a bit of weight, I didn't do much, and I was like, to be honest, mate, I was exactly the same. Last 2-3 weeks of the third lockdown, I think, were for me the hardest, in the sense, and not like in a kind of like a emotionally way, but just kind of realizing that gym's opening up in just a couple of weeks. Do you know what? I can just hack it out and just kind of give up a little bit. You know what I mean? It's just like I'll let myself just enjoy the next couple of weeks. But if anything, I probably suffered more from it, because I was just like probably even more inactive, and I was just eating a little bit more.
I think like so many people, just that third lockdown literally destroyed people. I think everyone had enough of that one. But and that's it. So all you can do is kind of go, well, I didn't like this, and I didn't like that bit. This is what I want to change, and then a nice 12-week block. And you made a good point about the weather. It's so much better now. It's lighter.
Yeah, definitely.
It's such an English thing to do, is talk about the bloody weather, but it makes a difference. So I think there's a big positive
changing. Like, because obviously I know you're an early bird, and it's quite nice for me to get up, and then when I'm leaving, it's like, I can actually see stuff.
But no, we actually no. So what I'm trying to say is that we've got this nice positive like period in front of us now, where the weather should get better. It'll be lighter. That we got nothing really is going to interrupt us for 10-12 weeks, so we can really just focus on ourselves, training. So like training, routine, and socializing. Catch up with people on the weekend and stuff. Go to the pub and go out for some good food. But
we did that for your birthday, mate, and you can probably tell that I'm still a little bit red on my face. My face is very different.
I think it was like 11 degrees, and you're like pink now.
But it's with my Irish heritage. You know what I mean? It's just like just absorbs the sun like a sponge.
But mate. So lots of positive things coming up. And if you're someone that's kind of you had a bit of a mix and match last 3-4 months, that's fine. It happens. You can't change it. All you can say is like, right, what do I want to achieve? Nothing's in your way. Head down, start working hard. I feel... And then if those holidays come up, because I know if they start opening these borders and saying you can travel here and there's no rest, then I will be gone in August and September. Like, I know I'll fly away. So off the Benidorm, mate. 1-way ticket. Open 2-month return or something like that. I'll be going. But I'll be gone, definitely. So like for me, just nice strong period. Next 12 weeks, I've got some goals that I'm going to set. There's some cycling stuff I really want to focus on, and some events I need to get prepped for. I've got a Turf Games competition in July, so you say cool, mate. I need to start lifting some weight.
I've been offered to be a judge at the Turf Games.
Oh, do it.
I was kind of like, Derek Biggs, mark that. Fail. No rep.
Yeah, it's a big old fun day. So yeah, I've got all that coming up. So yeah, I've got my focuses, and then on the weekend, catch up with you guys, few beers here and there, and yeah, good times ahead.
Yeah.
What's your kind of main fitness goals focus for the next 12 weeks?
Well, I think you've
big bench.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, I'll bench you, so I'll just take me a few more days. And then with that, I think I messaged because I messaged you, and I was like, I need to get my explosive cardio back up because I was doing lots of like running and I say running in air quotes. I was jogging and then walking and then picking pace back up just at the end of my road. So I needed to do that, and there's only one way I really enjoy doing it, or know in that sense how to kind of build it up quickly, like sprinting, and like sprinting on a rower. Yeah, I mean, and it's just doing some hard minutes on a rower is a great way of building up some explosive cardio. So I've been hocking up my guts every other day, because I've been messaging you, being like, "Oh my god, just done my sprints," and it's been fun. And it's just realizing that I need to, and it's kind of like trying to carve out where my weaknesses are, and just going like, "Hey, do you know what? I'm not very good at this. I need to do this more. I want to go back, and I want to finish out another season at rugby. What do I have to do?" And I have to be very critical of myself, and I just have to very quite literally look in the mirror and just go, "Oh, what do I need to work on?
I don't like you.
I've never liked you." And then just go, "Yeah, okay, cool. Right, I've put on a bit of a muffin top." You know what I mean? I feel that's the other thing that I've been able to be quite honest about with people. I'm being like, when they were talking, like, "I put a bit of weight on," and just grab the old love handles and look at me. But then one thing that I feel that I'm making people more aware of how I'm looking now, because I know that I'm smashing the hours in at the gym, that in a couple of weeks I can then turn around to these people and be like, "Hey, look, I've already shifted 10 whole kilograms in 2 weeks. What more can I do?" And it's like, right, well, I'm going to hopefully get nice and shredded, because for anyone listening out there, it is now shred season. It is that end of April, beginning of May. And this is the time that you need to now go into the gym, do your steady state cardio, hit all the glamour muscles if you want to get beach ready. That's what I'm all about at the moment. I want to get lean.
12 weeks, hard training, hard nutrition, sleeping well.
That's it.
Yeah, getting your daily
nothing
activity
but broccoli, up, nothing but chicken.
You look good after that. Right, good. So that's the end of the season. Like one final plug, I would say. I don't tend to push too much on the podcast, but if you're going back to the gym and you just don't have a plan, you can make some stuff up and you'll get somewhere. But if you want to be effective and efficient with your time, then reach out to somebody and get some help. There's PTs in every gym. If you go to Virgin Active, you'll find Adam running around. Go see him for some advice. If you don't have a gym, want to come train in Dell Box, give me a message. But if you want a program to follow where it's an online program on an app, then that's what I do. So then I've got a Fit in 30s program, and then I've got tailored coaching. So that's a little plug I'd put in, and all that stuff's in the comments below. So if you do want help with your programming and a bit of direction in your training, then reach out and get help from someone, because you can only go so far on your own. Right. So and that's the end of this season, Adam. It was a pleasure to have you on.
It's been a pleasure.
That was 6 strong episodes.
I feel like I've done well not to swear every other second, and come across with quite reasonable. I imagine a lot of people that know me.
Unlike on your podcast, there is no editing here. You are held accountable to everything you say, and it's published live within minutes of the recording taking place. Okay, you can give one final plug about your podcast, and then we'll close this down.
Thank you very much. So I run a guilty pleasure movie podcast. So me and fellow scriptwriter Craig Busek, We generally sort of stick to movies around the 90s and the early 2000s, and we just basically riffed and ripped them apart for an hour and a bit. So if you obviously enjoy listening to myself, you don't want to hear me talk about fitness, then go check out Adam Craig's Guilty Pleasure Cinema.
Very good. All the links for that is below. So what's going to happen with this podcast is I'm going to go on a bit of a spin-off. I'm going to do some special guest interviews for a few weeks. I've got a lot going on in the gym and training now, so there might be a little bit of a gap in between some of them, but I'm going to do some special guests, and then I'm going to rethink what season 3 is going to look like, and then I'll give you a heads up once that's out. Cool. Okay, guys, so subscribe to these channels however you're listening to them or watching them, and yeah, thanks. I hope you enjoyed this season. It's been great, and this is the Fit in the 30s podcast. Thank you, Adam Kent.
Thank you.
You're an absolute legend. I'll buy you an Oreo milkshake and a burger one time. I promise.
Yeah, cool. I'll invoice you.
Yeah, for your efforts.
One burger, one milkshake.
You're very cheap.
I am. That is one thing that people can all agree on now.
Yeah. Right. Thanks for listening and watching, guys. It's been a pleasure, and I'll see you in special guest episodes and in the next season. Thanks again. Cheers, Adam.
See you, mate.